Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Mr. Controversy, and welcome back to Coffee Shop Chatter. So today I'm covering this St. George separation from Baton Rouge. So as usual, as always, gotta have your coffee, sit down, enjoy yourself. One thing I ask is if you could just watch the video all the way to the end, because I see some comments people make, and I'm like, yeah, you didn't even watch the whole video. You watched a little bit and then you ran with it. But anyway, this is dealing with just the separation from, you had some wealthy white people that wanted to create their own community. And you have people that's throwing a tizzy over it because that's something they want to do. But I'm gonna go ahead and just jump straight into the video and comment in between and then again at the end.
And thank you for joining us for our second half hour. The Factor Uncensored. The headlines from the national media are eye-grabbing at best. Wealthy white Louisiana residents split from Baton Rouge to form their own city. But is race a real issue at the core of this municipal secession? The 86,000 residents who are forming their own city in St. George, Louisiana, say it's about better schools for their children and better city services. Baton Rouge is more than 50% black, and those who are against a split say the city will be hurt by this action to create a new city, which was approved by the Louisiana State Supreme Court last Friday after a 5-year-long battle. And joining us on the Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Eugene Collins, who's the former president of the NAACP in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Eugene, you guys have quite a situation there with St. George, the community now breaking off, becoming its own city after the Louisiana Supreme Court approved it. So what do you think this will do to the city of Baton Rouge?
It's confusing, right? When you look at it just on the surface, there's so many unknowns to the city of Baton Rouge. So already, what it has done is severely confuse the residents. And the biggest concern that I've seen so far is about where do people send their kids to school, right? Because you have a ton of folks that live in that area that if a new school district is established over the next 2 years, I mean, you got some legacy things that folks that might have went to some of the inner city Baton schools that now maybe have to go to school in St. George, and those families are up in the air. So what is already caused, in my opinion, is severe confusion. And I think some of the dangers of it futuristically is you continue to further divide an already highly racially charged area. And that just can't be good for the city of Baton Rouge overall and over time. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge that these folks are organized. They went out and got the votes. They raised money to continue their legal battles, and they went through a democratic process to get this city established. For which I understand democracy, and I understand that's the way that government is supposed to work. But at the same time, it's a dangerous notion, I believe, for the city of Baton Rouge to split at any level with the current environment that we have.
And of course, for those who are wondering, how did we get here? You look at the New York Post, you look at the Daily Mail, and the headlines show mainly white, wealthy community pulls out of Baton Rouge, starting their own city. Would that be accurate? And what is the reasoning behind pulling out of Baton Rouge from your perspective and what you know?
Well, when you look at the basis of what they have publicly said about their argument to separate from the city of Baton Rouge, it's been based around better schools, right? Which in itself, on its face, doesn't make a ton of sense, right? Because you have some people that have supported this movement that have held hold seats on our school board, right? And it's supposed to be their job to improve schools. So that notion in itself is kind of contradictory to what we see on his face. Not to mention, when you look at the makeup of the organizers, and you don't have any people of color amongst them, it's hard not to make the assumption that this is something that might be racially driven. But at the same time, I have to be honest and say that the rhetoric, the narrative that they have pushed has been about better schools. But I don't see how separating our district separating the school district can create better schools.
But
So
right
when you
now, the Supreme Court has only approved the city, creating a city. You're not at a school district yet. And much of this still may be down the road in building the process.
much of it maybe down the road, but there are already house bills that's been put forth to bring about the things that are necessary and needed to ensure that this city gets its own school district. Not to mention that the various things that have been done to improve the district in that region already. This city is paid for, right? Not to mention when you look at how they're planning on supporting themselves, it's pulling a lot of the resources and the tax bases from Baton Rouge, stuff that has been used to keep our city stable, right? So
I think Sharon Weston Broom, the mayor there, said the city of Baton Rouge could lose at least $46 million
at
annually as a
least
result of this.
at least and probably more, right? So when you take all that into account, this is going to hurt the underserved. This is going to be paid for on the backs of poor black folks, right? Because when you think about Baton Rouge, people always assume that folks that look like me that live in certain communities don't pay taxes. That's very far from the truth. We are property owners where everything else in our tax dollars go towards making this city a stable place to live. And when you do something like this, you put you put all of that in jeopardy, right? And it continually affects people that look like me in certain communities. And that's sometimes what folks don't understand, even the folks that look like me, right? Because my kids, they're gonna be fine, right? I'm gonna be fine. I'm an educated black man that makes a certain income level, right? But it's the folks that are just on that line, right? That live in certain communities that are just on that line, they're going to feel the brunt of this impact. And largely, man, they don't even understand what's going on because of the information that's rolled out, which is really the rough part.
All right, Eugene Collins, former president of the NAACP in Baton Rouge. We appreciate your time and thank you for bringing us the latest and the details on this out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Thank you, sir. Now, Andrew Morrell, attorney and spokesman for St. George, says this to Fox: St. George was a lawful election. The Supreme Court upheld the incorporation based on facts, evidence, and testimony. The opposition tries to create a divisive narrative because the facts and law support St. George. Now, this point is very important. Morrell went on to say our area was unincorporated and not part of any city. Baton Rouge never sought to annex our area. We followed the law and created a city where there was none.
So you hear what they saying? They were about the school zoning, but my question is, did they ask those people why is it that y'all want to do this? I will go out on a limb, and this just my opinion, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. When you have a certain level of income, there's certain things you don't want to be around. And no, it's not saying they don't want to be around black people. They don't want to be around the bullshit. They don't want to be around the crime. And what is it that mayor governor, what is it that they're doing to combat crime? Everybody sees, I mean, it's across the whole U.S. It's like a bunch of lawless states. Criminals have more rights than upstanding citizens. They won't arrest them. If they do arrest them, they let them out on some little bond. You have the multiple offenders who just doing a revolving door. They're going in, coming out, going in, coming out. So you have those people, causing problems. And at some point, you get tired of it. I can tell even where I live at. This area was mostly retirees. Elderly retirees. You had the retired vets. I was still in at the time. I would leave to go to work. I see a lot of the retirees outside talking and everything. Everyone was making. Actually, everyone here actually makes a pretty good amount of money. But then you have those who military folks that would leave, and a lot of them up in rank, so they have nice houses, and they rent their house out. And what they do to get it rented out, because they probably don't plan on coming back, is they allow HUD people to move in. And once they moved in, I've seen it. I mean, and it's I'm glad they're leaving. I'm not sure they got put out. What happened? But they're gone. They literally just moved out, and like a bunch of us is happy that they're fucking leaving. A shitload of people living in one house, and they're black, with a bunch of kids. Where my daughter had to say something to them because their kids was bringing trash from their house, crossing the street, walking over two more houses, and putting their trash in my trash can. I'm not even joking about this. They was putting their trash in my trash can. Mind you, they got two big, large trash cans already, but they was putting their trash in my trash can. Or, and it wasn't like they was going down to the street. They was walking up to my damn house doing it. Because a lot of the people, either they put their trash can in the back or on the side, but because where mine is located, that's what they was doing. And she literally had to she had to say something to him. It was like, hey, stop. And the reason she knew, because the system outside kept alerting inside the house that someone was on the property. So they're gone. So now we waiting to see who the hell will move here now. But it's the thing with crime. If we never had kids around here, no, we never had issues with cars. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, my camera, I had got alert. It was kids checking my next door neighbor's car door. So now it's to a point the police won't even come out. They say, well, there's nothing we can do. But then when citizens start taking the law into their own hands, that handle certain things, now you're the bad guy. So them separating, I have no problem. But there's a twist. Like I said, the news puts out its own narrative of what they want you to think to cause an uproar. Because if you pay attention to a lot of things that's going on, they're trying to cause separation among the races. They're trying to cause separation amongst the different religions. And they try to make this into a black and white thing. No, because notice they said white. The vote was 50, it was up like 54 to 46%. So 54% of people said yes, and then 46% said no. But we're gonna get in there, and you're gonna see what the twist is and how the media is trying to play this.
Once there was none. But wait, there's more.
Louisiana's highest court sent its ruling down, paving the way for St. George to officially become its own city.
That's right. Deshaun Johnson is live in downtown Baton Rouge with reaction on this decision. Good evening, Deshaun.
Yeah, Renee and Jacob, this has been a decision going on for years. And earlier today, the ruling for St. George to officially be incorporated as its own city was approved after a 4-3 vote from the Louisiana Supreme Court. The justices found that legal error led to lower courts denying the incorporation, and the lower court's judgment was reversed. The city's incorporators and electors won the judgment requested. St. George incorporators were taken to court following a 2019 election that was approved, allowing the city to be created. Prior court rulings sided with Baton Rouge, denying the creation of the new city before the decision by the state Supreme Court. Here's the reaction on the ruling.
I am committed to serving the residents of St. George, just as I serve those of Baker, Central, and Zachary. And in the days ahead, I will proceed to have conversations to determine the best course of action in compliance with the court's final decision.
We are open for everyone. If you want more opportunity, you want a better life, you want a chance for lower crime, St. George, I don't care what you look like. No one does. No one ever did. That's a narrative that was created as a smokescreen to rally people into a cause. It's never been true.
St. George would join Baker, Central, and Zachary in forming its cities within East Baton Rouge. And Merle did say this will be a long process and it won't happen overnight. Reporting live in downtown Baton Rouge, Deshaun Johnson, NBC Local 33 News.
All right, DJ.
So there you have it. Like I said, the media, and there's people still, even today, that is arguing about this. They're thinking, they're saying, oh, well, when we tried to do it, you got to look at the time. So you had Rosewood, 1923. You had Tulsa, it was like 1921, 22. You had the Seneca Village, which is currently today is Central Park in New York. You know, you had East St. Louis, you had the Ocoee or something in Florida. Then you had the thing out in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina. So yes, you had black communities who would separate. They were trying to build stuff, and then you had, you know, white people that came and burned it down. Different. You gotta look at the times. There was, you know, yes. Even then, if people even today wanted to do that, was like, hey, we want our own community. We're self-sufficient, whatever. I don't have a problem with that. What they're doing, I don't see a problem with it. Because when they say wealthy and they're complaining, well, they're leaving and then that's money we losing because they're leaving out. So what if those 85,000 people decide, like, we're just leaving the state of Louisiana altogether? You still losing the money. So what's the damn difference? Either way, you're going to lose the money, whether they leave the state or they go over there and create St. George. It's just people in St. George, and what they're going to do, which I would say is smart, the property will be so expensive, you probably going to have to make over six figures of living there. Probably 100, 150K. You're going to have to be around that income, probably around that income level to be there because the houses will be so expensive. And that's how you kind of keep what I like to call is like the riffraff. And I don't care whether it's black, white, purple, green, what your ethnicity is, it doesn't fucking matter. It keeps those people out of your area. Now you're gonna have someone to come in and steal, but then you can deal with them on a different way. They talking about the resources. You can put a police station there. It ain't that hard. They do it all the time. They worry about the school zoning. The only thing I don't like about that is I could tell you, me growing up in New York, I don't even think we had that. Like I lived in around Hollis, Queens. I went to school out in Bayside, which means our bus had to get on the expressway to get to our school when there was elementary schools right there where I lived at. But I didn't have to go to them. My junior high school, it was the same way. It was out in Springfield. I didn't have to go to school out there. There was schools that was closer to me, but my mother was like, you ain't going to those damn schools because it was the shit that was going on in there. Fights, guns, they had all kinds of stuff going on there. Same thing with my high school. There was a high school right across the street from ours. There was multiple high schools where my high school was. But in order to get into my high school, I went to Thomas Edison. You had to take a test. And it was kind of like a trade school, but it wasn't. So like I was going to be for being a computer programmer. That's what my curriculum was based off of. My brother went for drafting and some other stuff. He had to, like, you literally take a test. It's like a placement test so you can get into the school. You couldn't just say, it wasn't like the other high schools where he's like, hey, yeah, I'm going to Martin Van Buren, or I'm going to Jamaica High School. And you can just, your parents bring you in to enroll. You literally had to take a test to get into that school. So it may be issues with the school that they have there, and the parents are like, I don't want my kids dealing with this stuff. I'm tired of it. They came and talked to like a bunch of like-minded people, and they all decided to do the same thing. It's like, hey, how about we do this? But like I said, I don't have a problem with it. You know, I knew where I grew up, how I grew up, the things that I seen and everything. And my thing, I was like, I never would want my kids to have to experience it. Though I think sometimes I need to. My daughter's good. My son, I think I need to take him so he can see the reality of the world. But it's just once you get a certain place in your life, certain things you just don't want to be around, nor associated with. So that's why I live in the type of neighborhood I live in. That's why I ensure my kids, my daughter and son didn't know, especially my daughter, because she was living with me, didn't have to be exposed to that. They're doing the same thing. But like, the lawyer said, the media has created a narrative to pit one against the other when it's open for anyone. But it will be structured. And I guarantee it's going to be structured till you're going to have the money to move in there. So, take it how you wish. But like I said, get down, get in the comments, tell me what you think. At least watch the whole video before you start making comments, because like I said, some people be commenting, and I know for a fact you probably watched 2 or 3 minutes or something, or watch the beginning of me probably talking. You watch a little bit of the video, and automatically you start speculating, and then even listen to nothing. But hey, that's your choice. That just proves that maybe you got a short attention span. Or maybe you don't know how to really articulate your thoughts in writing. So you go to name calling and all this other stuff and just saying, hey, I respect everybody who be in the comments. I'll tell you, this is my opinion. And I tell you, I respect your opinions. I wouldn't want a bunch of people thinking the way I think. Everybody needs some type of pushback, because it makes you think, and it may turn the way that you think about certain things. So I will see y'all around, and probably later on tonight. Y'all enjoy the rest of your day.